Hello, all of you gamers, professional and casual out there in the world. I am MegaAmpster. Thank you for clicking on this video if you did. If you're new here, great to have you here. Welcome. If you're a returning viewer, always good to see you here. These are my top 10 favorite games that came out in 2022 that I played, put a good amount of time into. Before we get into it, let's do a few honorable mentions and some disclaimers. Main thing, I haven't played a lot of games this year. You know, there are so many games that came out that I didn't play. I don't own a PS5, so all like the Sony games like Horizon, Forbidden West, and God of War, Ragnarok, and Gran Turismo 7 I haven't played. Also some games here that I just never got around to or weren't interested in, like Plague Tale Requiem, Stray, Tunic I wanted to but never did, Pokemon Scarlet Violet I didn't play, Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope, so don't expect any of those games on this list. I am also not including DLC expansions that, even if they added significant content, like Cuphead Delicious Last Course is the main one I'm thinking of. Loved that expansion, but I'm not including it as its own separate game here. It totally would be here if I did. Last thing is I'm not including games that I didn't put enough time into. So my main games like Elden Ring, I played like maybe a few hours. So I know if you're expecting Elden Ring, sorry, there's no Elden Ring here, unfortunately. I also just don't like Souls games, I found out. So that is not on this list. As well as games like Gotham Knights, I just recently started playing with my friend, so haven't had enough time to really sink into that game fully. That's not going to be here. As well as Kirby's Dream Buffet, I only did like the one live stream on it, didn't really get too far with that. I wanted to play more, but just never got around to it, so I didn't even really want to include it on this list. I didn't think it was fair. But with that, here are my top 10 favorite games of 2022. Number 10 is an interesting one because it's a free-to-play game that, you know, I'm not a huge free-to-play game kind of guy, but this one was really special, I felt, and, you know, I was interested in it since it was announced, and haven't stuck around with it lately, but it definitely did interest me at the very beginning, and that game is MultiVersus. So I had a fun time. I did a stream for this, and I also played a lot outside of streams. Was I buying Batman here? Batman is honestly my favorite. I love Batman and Shaggy and some of the different characters here and there. But what I love about this game is it feels like there's so much passion behind it. You know, unfortunately, Nicktoons All-Star Brawl came out just shortly before it and was missing stuff like voice acting, and it felt like there was a little bit of a lack of polish and maybe not enough budget behind the game. But then, here comes Warner Brothers shortly after announcing MultiVersus, and you know, playing it when it was first released to the public, genuinely a lot of fun. It's definitely, I feel like it's a little more stiff than Smash Brothers, which I feel like kind of knocks it down a little bit. It's also free to play and multiplayer. I'm not huge into those games, that's why it's at the bottom here. But for what it is and for what it was that I played of, it was really honestly a lot of fun. There are definitely some unique things that make it different than Smash Brothers. I think there's a lot more voice acting here than Smash Brothers. It feels like each character has a completely unique moveset. I know even in Smash, some characters have reused movesets. These are all completely unique. You also get these different abilities you can equip, so there's some really cool, unique stuff about this game, and I really think it was a lot of fun playing it. The controls are a bit weird for me. It took definitely some adjustment, but I love what they're doing here. I love that they're continuing support. I want to jump back into it at some point. I genuinely had so much fun playing the multiplayer of this game, but didn't stick with it for too long. Hopefully one day I'll go back and, especially Marvin the Martian, I think they're adding soon. Like, hell yeah, I want to check out Marvin the Martian. That'd be fun. But that is my number 10 on this list. Now, number 9 is also a multiplayer game. Not on, well, I guess it is online, but it's not a free-to-play game. It is a game that they've kind of iterated upon this and released, you know, multiple versions of this, and we got the newest version this year. It's kind of an annual thing. My number 9 is Jackbox Party Pack 9. So you might be thinking, why the hell is a Jackbox pack on this list? The reason why, and the reason why it's above MultiVersus, is with Jackbox Party Packs, there's always like that one game that's just not great, and it's usually the new brand new idea that just doesn't really work, doesn't really stick. You know, I think back to Party Pack 7, specifically Devil in the Details. I hated that game, and that was one of, like, kind of like a role-playing game from what I remember. Very complicated, very over the top. I do not remember any of that, but this pack, all of the games felt at least good. You got Fibbage, which is a classic. Quicksort is frustrating, but it's fun to sort out stuff. That might be my least favorite. Non-sensory is kind of fun, and it's just kind of, you're trying to guess what other people are thinking, where they put stuff. I forget what the one with the frogs and the selling and the presentation is fun, but I always love the presentation games, and the bartering mechanic is kind of cool. Puts a new spin on the presentation games. The highlight for me has to be Roomerang, like you're seeing here, because Roomerang was so much fun. Like, it's one of those role-playing games, but it feels like the Devil in the Details done right. It's just so much fun. You get to vote someone off at the end. I forget who we're voting off here. But I streamed this game with my friends. I played outside of streams, and I'm definitely going to go back to this one because all of the games, like I said, are consistently good. Roomerang being a true highlight here. It's just fun to kind of mess around with people. And of course, Jackbox is always a good time. But I put it on this list mainly because I feel like out of all the packs I've played, Pack 3 is really good, but this one also feels like a really good one that's up there, and I think it deserved a shout out. Liked it a little more. I enjoyed my time a little more than I did with MultiVersus, so that is why it is number 9 on the list. Now, number 8, we are getting back into some single-player games. I had never played this franchise before, or I guess series more likely, until now, and they, the company Bandai Namco, they remastered these games this year. Hadn't really heard a lot about it for a while. It kind of came out of nowhere, and hey, it seems like it found new life, and apparently it sold pretty well, so I'm excited about that. Number 8 is Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series. Now, I ended up enjoying the sequel, Lunatea's Veil, a lot more than Door to Phantom Isle, but Door to Phantom Isle in its own right is a little fun 2.5D platformer. The Wind Seed Bullet, whatever it's called, sorry, I don't forget the actual name, that mechanic is very unique for a platformer, I feel. Like you're seeing here, being able to use the enemies like as platforms and throw them at other enemies to destroy them. I feel like that's kind of unique. It's like taking the Koopa shells in Mario to the next level, I think it's super unique in that way. Door to Phantom Isle's story, too, is so dark. I think Lunatea's Veil was as well, maybe not as much, but I ended up liking Lunatea's Veil more. I just liked it felt like there was a little bit more meat on the bone, if that's a good way to put it. Like, there was more there. It was a little bit of a longer game. There were a few more collectibles, I think, and I'm always a fan of collectibles. I'm a big platformer guy, so I'm always a fan of that. Some of the level design felt really unique in that game, especially the characters. There were more characters, and they were pretty likable. I ended up enjoying my time more with the sequel. The original is still a fun little 2.5D platformer, but I don't know how often I'll go back to the original. I mean, it is much, I don't know if it's like much shorter, but it definitely is shorter than Lunatea's Veil. So maybe that'll be its own way, a nice quick little romp to go through and replay that someday. But Lunatea's Veil I ended up enjoying a lot more. But both of these games, they look great, they run really well, and they're very unique. It's great to see Klonoa back, and apparently it sold pretty well, so it's great to see. Hopefully we get a new game in this style. I think, the fact that Bandai Namco is recognizing Klonoa is honestly awesome, so hopefully we see more of that in the future. But that is number 8 on my list. Number 7, very similar vein, we are back with Bandai Namco. Now, this game, you could argue this is less unique than Klonoa, but I honestly had more fun playing with this. It's another 2.5D platformer, another PS1 remaster, and that game, number 7, is Pac-Man World Re-Pac. Now, like I said, it is less unique, It's kind of, there's some unique stuff about it, mainly like the different Pac-Man mazes you can kind of unlock in the other levels and like some of Pac-Man's moves, but it honestly feels like an easier Crash Bandicoot, but it's just really fun to play, Nothing super special that stands out about it in terms of like unique gameplay, but it's just really fun. Especially I love doing the butt bounce ability as Pac-Man in this. It feels really fun to play as Pac-Man in this gameplay style. Have the different collectibles that eventually will unlock you different Pac-Man mazes, and you're rescuing your family from the evil Pac dude. I don't even remember what his name is, to be honest. It's like the story's nothing to write home about, but it's just the gameplay is just honestly really solid. I enjoy the gameplay here more than Klonoa, although Klonoa is a lot more unique in terms of its level design and just its gimmick. But I had a lot of fun. I don't know how else to describe it. I know it seems like I shouldn't be putting this above Klonoa, but I just had more fun streaming this and going through it. It was a really fun time. It felt really good to play. Controls in a platformer are really a big thing for me, and this game, it just felt really fun to control. So that is why it is above Klonoa at number 7. I forgot about the box art. There you go. Woo! Number 6, because I have some of these games physically, but not all of them. Number 6 is an interesting one. It's another sequel in a not long-running franchise, but definitely a more popular franchise in recent years. And although it was kind of iterative, but it honestly was pretty unique in its own right. And I ended up enjoying it quite a bit, and having really a lot of fun with the gameplay, especially after I took a little bit of a break. That game at number 6 is Splatoon 3, baby. Now, Splatoon, I played the original. I did not play Splatoon 2, but I came into 3 after, like 5 years at least, maybe 6 years even, of playing the original on Wii U, and I had a lot of fun with this. Like, I forgot how much I enjoyed Splatoon. The multiplayer, I get frustrated at because I'm not very good, and there are so many good players out there, and it's so hard to, compete with them. But I love the attention to detail they put here. The quality of life improvements in the multiplayer. Even just having an online lobby with friends alone is a massive deal, and I think it really makes this multiplayer more fun. And you can, while you're loading into a battle, you can mess around with your friends in this little lobby area like you're seeing here. I love the new weapons they introduced. The Splatana especially is one of my favorites. The Tri-Stinger is okay in terms of the bow and arrow, but I love using it. The crab special is really fun. The reef blower, is that what it is? The one where you ride the shark and it explodes. I love that one too. Honestly, very creative, unique weapons that they have here for sure. Like I said, the multiplayer I'm kind of iffy on. I'm going to try to keep up with the Splatfest this time around. I don't even think I did in the original, so just to kind of keep up to date with that. Salmon Run, this is the first time I played Salmon Run. Salmon Run's very fun, very frantic. Fun with a group of friends, though. You kind of all like divvy up, especially with voice chat. Voice chat's almost like necessary for Salmon Run, I find. But like the boss salmon is kind of a little iffy. And the single player, I think hands down, this is the best single player Splatoon's had yet. Just in terms of the different structure of the islands and like being able to kind of do all the challenges on your island in any order as long as you have the right number of power eggs, I think is really cool. I love Small Fry, I love my boy. The idols are great, especially Big Man, of course. Big Man supremacy here, but Shiver and Fry have warmed up too over time as well. It's just the single player, the ending. This year had so many crazy endings, especially Nintendo games. The ending to Splatoon 3's campaign. No spoilers here, but it is absolutely bizarre, but so epic. I'm curious to see where Splatoon goes on from here. You know, it's the single player is just really fun as always, but I think this is the best one, especially in terms of structure. And you know, it's always fun to just kind of roam around and do little platforming shooting challenges with the different weapons you have. You actually get a choice of a few different ones in each level here, and you get different rewards based on your choice. So the overall package is pretty great. The reason why it's not as high is because, I mean, I'm not a huge multiplayer fan. I know that's the main focus of this game. But I still have fun, get a little frustrated sometimes for sure, but I've gotten better with this game. I've learned gyro controls, which is great, I think. And the single player is better than ever. So that is why it is number 6 on my list of the top 10 games of this year. Number 5, some of you might not know about. Number 5, I don't think it's... So here's my thing, right? Indie games, right? I don't play a lot of them. I really need to. I need to fill out my backlog and play more of these games. This one I got for free. Shout out to MinMax's Trivia Tower show. Go check them out if you're interested. Got it for free from there because I actually won enough rounds there. And like I wouldn't have bought, unfortunately, I would not have bought this game otherwise. I'd never even heard of it. But once I played it, like genuinely had a lot more fun than I would have expected with that. This was my biggest surprise of this year. My number 5 is a little game called Nobody Saves the World. This is from Drinkbox Studios, who also did the Guacamelee games. It's really fun, especially the weird thing is that I'm not a big roguelike or roguelite fan. Sorry, I don't know the difference. Let me know in the comments what they are. But it like combines the roguelike elements with Zelda dungeon exploration, and it's honestly really fun. You can see here, there's like, I want to say like 20 at least like different transformations you get, and each transformation has a unique ability. It has unique special ability, unique physical ability, and like usually like one other like special ability, I think too. But they're all very unique, and you can kind of level them up as you go. The side quests are really fun. The writing is just so funny. I love the writing in this game. It's very witty. It's very unique. But I love the fact that they make, you know, the roguelike elements very interesting. I think like when you enter a dungeon, there's like one of 3 possible combinations, so it's not like completely random, but it's like, maybe that's what roguelite is. There's like one of 3 possible combinations. Certain side quests, you need specific abilities, which is really cool. It just makes it very distinct, and it's such a, I've never played a game like this before. I mean, I haven't played a lot of roguelites. I've played like Binding of Isaac, and that's about it. But like just in terms of the transformation mechanic is so unique, and it really adds a lot to this game. They're all very flushed out too. Some are better than others, but like they're all pretty well realized. And I think it makes it a lot of fun. You know, there's so many different dungeons you can go into, a lot of them optional. Side quests you can do pretty much all optional. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's a very content-heavy game. And like I said, biggest surprise of the year for me. I would never have expected this game. I'm so glad I played it because I never would have played it otherwise, you know. But definitely, this is a game I would definitely recommend. Got a little buried at the beginning of the year just because there were, you know, other games around the corner, which we'll get to in a second. But just, it's a really fun game overall. I would highly recommend it, especially if you're into roguelikes or roguelites. And even if you're just into Zelda dungeon exploration, I would highly recommend it. But that is number 5 on this list. Number 4 also came out at the beginning of the year. Probably spoiled it a little bit there, but this franchise, I've never been massive into this franchise, but I loved parts of it. There's a certain ideal behind it, mainly the collection aspect in this game that I love. And I love that this game kind of doubled down on it and kind of made it its own contained game. And that game at number 4 is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, like I said, I've never been a massive Pokemon fan, mainly the battling. I'm not a huge fan of the battling, and there definitely is a good amount of battling in this game, but the main focus is really on the collection aspect. And I love the fact that you can sneak around in the open zone areas and just like toss Pokeballs. with the press of a button. You don't have to open a separate menu, go through a screen transition, any of that. It's just all right there. And maybe some of the other games have done this more recently. Like I said, I haven't played Scarlet and Violet. I don't know what those games do. But it just feels so immersive. This is easily the most immersive game I've played this year. I love the fact that they're stepping in this direction. I hope this isn't a one-off game. I hope we get like a Legends, I don't know, Legends Rayquaza or like Legendary Dogs game. I don't know. But it's just, I hope we get more of these games because I love the focus. The story's kind of but just like the gameplay is so much fun. Just, you know, sneaking around. Some of these Pokemon feel like they can literally kill you in this world. They're so dangerous, especially like the alpha Pokemon. It's scary. I was legit terrified. It's like a horror game. I was legit terrified at certain moments in this game with the different Pokemon. And it can get a little bit repetitive for sure. Like if you're trying to catch, a certain number of this size Pokemon to fill out a little check mark in your Pokedex. But it doesn't have to be that repetitive. I mean, you can definitely like, you know, skip some of that. Some of it's required, but like, it's just, I loved like collecting different Pokemon. I've always loved the Pokedex more so than anything else. The Pokedex and the evolution, and this game doubles down on that. Makes a lot of quality of life improvements, like the catching the ball, like the evolving is super easy in this game. Genuinely a lot of really good quality of life updates here that make the collection and catching aspect of Pokemon so much more fun, and that's why I love it, because that's my favorite part of the franchise. So I haven't played the post game, but maybe one day I'll go back to it. I'm just really hoping we get, you know, another game in this style, because I absolutely loved it. You know, I hope we get a more single player focused game. No 8 gym leaders, none of that, just like run around, catch a different Pokemon in different areas. It'd be so much fun, I think. But Pokemon Legends Arceus is number 4 on this list. Now, number 3, I honestly swap back and forth between these like next few games. This one is another another 3. There were a lot of 3s this year. This is a series that, you know, I got into with the Switch. It existed a little bit before then, but I got into it. And I think I debate about the third one being my favorite entry in the series. It introduces some really cool new mechanics that I think make it stand out from the other games. And it's just overall such a fun and flashy time. That game is Bayonetta 3. There's obviously a lot of controversy around this game, mainly with Helena Taylor. And like, yeah, you can't get away from that controversy, I guess. But Jennifer Hill, I think, does a really good job as the voice of Bayonetta. And she's a better person, so I'm glad she's here. But all the voice actors is all over the place. They do a really, really good job here. And the gameplay is as flashy as ever. It's just straight up, it's Bayonetta. You know, if you're into that flashy action game, or yeah, you put in different combos and stuff, you'll have a ton of fun with this, I am sure. The cool thing though is that they added the, you know, demon summon mechanic, which not only like lets you summon demons who have their own movesets and have their own skill trees in the game. There's so many of them too. I think I've unlocked like 10 of them. I think it's like 15 maybe. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But there's also, you get unique weapons too, which is also fairly new for Bayonetta. Not only do you have just the dual guns, now you can get like yo-yo. I won't spoil them all, but yo-yos are my favorite. Those are my favorite ones you unlock early in the game. Those are super duper fun. You get like some more heavier weapons and stuff, but the demon summons are really, really cool. Because they, like I said, they all have their own movesets, you know, and there's so much content. It's just so much to level up with all of those in this game. Very flashy, very fun. Bayonetta is fun as always to play. Viola, I like. The parry, I'm not huge on. I'm just not good at parrying is the thing. So that's something I need to get used to, but like playing as her, especially her traversal methods with the grappling hook is really, really fun. I like the options there. The Jean stealth sections I'm not huge on. That's definitely the lowest point of the game for me. It's just kind of like, why is this here? It's okay. I think they get better as the game goes on because there are multiple. But especially early on, it's just like it felt kind of slow to me compared to the actual levels that you go and fight all these homunculi as they're called. But the story isn't anything crazy. Well, actually, yeah, it is crazy, but like it's so hard to pay attention to. It's like, wait, what am I? I just trying to pay attention too much. I know people weren't hot on the ending, but I didn't mind it too much. I'm curious to see where the franchise goes from here, though, because I mean, Hideki Kamiya said they're going to continue it, and we got Cereza and the Lost Demon coming out next year. So I had a lot of fun with this, though. Streaming this game is very fun, very flashy, and the new mechanics are just super duper cool. So curious to see where they take Bayonetta in the future, but it is number 3 on this list because I just had that much fun with this game. Now, number 2, we are so close. Number 2, I honestly debated about putting this at number 3 instead of 2, but then I thought back on it, and I thought, you know what? This game, this franchise needed to make this transition for so long, and it took forever, but we finally got it, and damn, did they get it so right. My number 2 on this list is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. My boy finally made it to 3D and with a big fanfare, because this game, it feels so good to play. You know, they had to make some limitations with the level design, they had to add the ceiling cap in terms of Kirby being able to fly, but it feels so fun. It's honestly such a seamless transition. I know we were all kind of worried, like, it could be doable, like some of it might be a little weird. It works. It totally works. And there's some cool stuff here that they added that makes it really fun. The fact that you can upgrade your copy abilities is massive, because, I mean, it's, you know, we've had a lot of copy abilities over the years, and there are a lot of the basic ones in this game. There are a couple new ones like the drill move and the ranger move, which are both really fun. But the upgrading abilities is so unique because it just makes existing copy abilities way more interesting, you know? It makes it way more, and then make them way more powerful. I won't spoil some of the upgrades, but they get really powerful later on in the game when you can find the blueprints and the levels to upgrade them. That's also the thing about the levels, is that the exploration is so, like, it's very encouraged, because you have, like, the Waddle Dees you need to rescue in every level. You got to do a certain objective, a few objectives per level. I think it increases the replayability, too, because of that, you know? Yeah, most likely you won't be able to get all of them in one go. You have to go back and replay the levels and figure out the hidden or other objectives in the level, and I think that's a really fun design. The big gimmick of this game is mouthful mode. Really fun to see just Kirby just latch onto whatever he wants to with his mouth. Kirby, of course, Car Kirby's probably my favorite. But Refrigerator Kirby's fun. There's a bunch of other ones that are really fun too. There's some really fun stuff you can do there. The story is kind of, I mean, it's a Kirby story. There's some interesting lore for sure. But the ending, like I said, Nintendo game endings, especially this year, absolutely ridiculous. Some of them are crazy, and this one included. Kirby final bosses have always been weird, but this game like goes another level, I think. Some of the lore there is very interesting though, and there's a lot of good side missions, except for those stupid pinball little mini game with the ball tilt thing. That one sucks. But like, just really fun. There's a post game. There's an arena mode where you take on the bosses again. It's a very fleshed out Kirby game, but it's in 3D. Kirby, you know, has been 2.5D, 2D forever now. And we're finally getting a mainline game that's in full 3D, and it feels so good. And they nailed it. HAL Laboratory nailed this game, and I'm excited to see if they keep this going. I imagine they will, but it's so fun to play. I would highly recommend this game if you're into any sort of 3D platformers. It was super duper fun. And, oh, I didn't mean to turn on the audio, my bad. And I would highly recommend it. But it is only my number 2, so number 1. What could it be? If you know the channel, you already know. But for any of you who don't know what games I play, what could it be? I wonder. Let me just put on this little hat quickly. You know, just a little quickly. I just gotta put this on. Okay, fine. My number one. Top 10 favorite games for 2022. It's Sonic Frontiers. It is this game right here. Now, I was very hesitant about this game when it was first shown off and talked about, especially some of that IGN first footage. We don't talk about that. Just the idea, because I'm not a huge open world kind of guy. Like, in terms of the games I play, I don't want you to see this. This is the really bad footage of me failing this parry. But just like, I was so afraid that it was really going to be my kind of game. But then I played it, and honestly, the open zone exploration is my favorite part about the game, because it's really, there's so much to do. There's so many little collectibles to get a lot of these memory tokens, a lot of upgrades for Sonic in terms of health and defense. You can find the Lost Coco to upgrade your range and your speed. There is so much to do here. Genuinely so much, and I think that it's just so fun to run around. It's like a big playground. And yeah, sure, some of the environment doesn't necessarily fit Sonic, but it just feels so fun to run around with, but it doesn't really matter to me. Oh, this is a story spoiler. Let's get out I guess it's not a huge spoiler, but still. It's, you know, it's genuinely fun to just run around. That's my favorite part about the game, honestly. I think the controls are a little weird. You can adjust some of them in the options menu, but it definitely feels a little stiff sometimes. But it's fun to explore and run around. It mainly feels worse in the cyberspace levels, which are a nice break from the main exploration and the open zone of the game. But definitely some of them are not designed super well. Or they just don't fit with the new control scheme here. I love some of the throwbacks to the old level design, those old Sonic games. Those are really cool to see in this game. But it's definitely it can be a little stiff sometimes. It's definitely like tough to turn around Sonic in the air, for example. So it could definitely use some improvement. But in terms of the open world exploration, it's really good. The cyberspace levels are mostly pretty good. The story, the writing, Ian Flynn, they got him from the comics. The best Sonic writing we've had in forever. Music is a banger as always. it's great to see them respect the Sonic lore, you know, rather than just kind of throw everything out and start from scratch. It really feels like they're respecting the rest of the games here, with random little callbacks that honestly surprise me. And then the Supersonic fights are honestly, I won't spoil them, but I think it's the best 3D Supersonics ever been. Like, legitimately, so much fun. The combat, speaking of, I think it's a lot better than when we got in Unleashed with the Werehog. I feel like, I know it's hit or miss for people, I feel like it transitions so well, it kind of goes so well with Sonic Speed, where they're easy to pull off. You know, there's only a certain number of combos you can do with pretty simple button presses, and it can be a little awkward sometimes, but like you can like chain different combos pretty well. I know here I haven't gotten much at this point, so I'm not doing much of the footage here, but it's fun to kind of use a different combat mechanics I found, and you know, kind of do all that. But there's honestly a lot of content here. I put almost 30 hours in this game, especially because I'm a maniac and try to collect all the memory tokens and the other islands I still have to finish the last island. But like, it's number one, not because it's the best made game this year. Honestly, this is definitely not the most well-made game this year. It lacks a lot of polish. You know, it really could use some more time to grab it, but it's my number one because it's such a good foundation for Sonic, 3D Sonic going forward. SEGA's already said they're going to have a foundation build off of this. You know, we're getting the free DLC, Squid, we're getting the free DLC next year, and I'm super excited to see where that ends up. And I'm also just really excited to see where this takes 3D Sonic in the future, you know? So this is the best, I shouldn't say the best, this is my favorite 3D Sonic game, I think, since the Sonic Adventure games. You know, and those are mainly nostalgia I have for that, but like, they really have a good idea here. The open zone is a lot more fun than I was originally anticipating. I had a lot of fun with it, you know, and I hope they can refine it in future 3D games, you know, because I think they have something really good going here. And we will see what the future holds for Sonic, but just to recap this whole list, number 10 was MultiVersus, number 9 was Party Pack 9 for Jackbox, number 8 was Klonoa Fantasy Reverie Series, number 7 was Pac-Man World Re-Pac, number 6 was Splatoon 3, number 5 was Nobody Saves the World, number 4 is Pokemon Legends Arceus, number 3 is Bayonetta 3, number 2 is Kirby the Forgotten Land, and number 1 is Sonic Frontiers. Remember, these are my favorites. I didn't play every game this year, I didn't put enough time into every game this year, so there was some that had to miss the list, and these are, like I said, these are not the top 10 best games. I'm calling this favorite because they are my favorite games. So thank you for making it through this video. If you did, the original take was like 40 minutes long, so this is still a little bit long, but not as bad. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you agree with me, if you have any other picks you'd like to put here, if you disagree with anything I put here, definitely let me know what your favorite games this year were. And hey, I'll be making more top 10 lists very soon. I'll be doing more streaming soon with Yoshi's Woolly World, so keep that in mind. If you're interested in future content, I will be here. You know where to find me. Anyways, happy almost New Year. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you all in the next video or live stream. Take care for now.